Here we go. We're testing it up. Let's see where we're gonna be at. Any guesses? Is it gonna work? That's the wrong one. There we go. Wow, it didn't work. Let me show you guys something that needs some attention. Come on in here into Dakota and let's get the dash fired up. If I use the right key. Here we go. Hey, you can see me in there. Hey guys. All right. One of the things is the time it does take to boot up the screen is kind of annoying, but I'm hoping you guys can make this happen. Right there it says fuel level 100%. I'm going to hit the brake pedal and you're going to see that fuel level drop down to the actual level in the car, which is looks like it's about a half a tank. 50% or so. So I need to fix that. So we got a couple things that we're going to address today. That's definitely one of them. And I'm hoping I can address that pretty easily. Otherwise I'm going to have to pull the dash out and everything else like that, which I kind of have to do to rewire anyway, and I'll explain all that. So today we're going to fix a couple things. Just a couple last minute things that need to be addressed, and that fuel gauge is the first one. And well, I think the problem is the ground that gets sent to the sensor back here, which is under my panel, which I'm already going to use, so it's already a good job that we put that in there. The sensor ground I think is shared with the brake pedal, and somehow it changes the ohms when you're using it. So what I'm going to have to do is either one of two things. We're gonna have to either have to run a ground straight to the battery right over here, which is what we're gonna test first, or we may have to run what's known as a sensor ground out of the dash, which is like its own circuit, because the fuel gauge uses ohms. So when it's empty, it reads 105 ohms. When it's full, it reads 5 ohms. And that swing in there between that 105 and 5 ohms is how it knows how full it is. So if it's like halfway, let's guess maybe it's I don't know, 65 ohms. So it's like 65 ohms is half a tank. So it needs a good source that doesn't get interrupted. So that's what I think is going on. I gotta go in the house and get a wiring diagram, but then we're gonna pull the wiring off of the sending unit. I'm gonna wire directly up to the battery, and I'm gonna see if that fixes it. Even though I'm working on a Holley Pro Dash, some of this information might be beneficial to you out there if you have a Dakota, a first-gen Dakota, and your fuel gauge is not working. Now, there's a couple different connectors that these trucks have on the fuel sending unit. So mine's a 92, and it has a 5-pin connector. But there's one with 4 pins or 6 pins, I don't exactly remember. So you'll have to do some research on that to figure out which wire goes where. I got this information that I'm about to show you from alldata, DIY.com or alldata.com. I paid for a subscription. It gives me some printouts, some electrical stuff, and I'm able to use that as my guide. It does cost me a little bit of money, but for the stuff I'm doing, it's worth it. But you know, you might have a Chilton's laying around somewhere or something else like that that might have the same information. So you just kind of got to look for it. But I've doctored it up. I've kind of made my own diagram. This is from the DIY Auto, or the, sorry, All Data. And it's got a picture of the connector, and this is the connector on the fuel pump itself. If we look at it right here, this right here is a common ground. So this is your fuel gauge level sender. There's a ground here, and then there's another one that sends to the gauge right here. And if you look at everything, we follow this up until we hit a 90 degree and come over. This is a gray with black wire. So my common ground is 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth one over, which again is gray and black. This is my sender right here, which is, you know, your full and empty. In between there, this is what is measuring those ohms between the two. And if we follow that up and come over, it's dark blue with yellow, and I've verified that that actually does go to the gauge. There's another one right here. If you look right here, it kind of comes up like this, goes in the middle. It's light blue with black. This is your walking light. This is the little gas gauge light that comes on when you're getting low on fuel. So that's what that's for. But basically what I've done is I've just remapped it out so I kind of know exactly what's going on. The first thing here, if we're looking at the plug itself, dark green with black, this is your fuel pump power. This the second one is dark green with yellow, which is the dark blue with yellow, which is your fuel lever sending unit. Your walking light, like we told you, is in the middle. Then this is our shared sensor for the ground. Then you have a fuel pump ground here. So this is your power and ground. Basically, what you need to know if you want to find out if your fuel gauge is working, find out the pinout on your fuel hat, your fuel pump module. Figure out where the wires go. Find the ground sensor. Sorry, find the sensor that goes to the gauge. If you ground that out, it should move that gauge all the way full, but you got to be very careful and make sure you have the right wire. Anyway, what we're going to do is the opposite. We're going to find the shared ground right here, which is gray and black, and we're going to cut this wire, and then we're going to connect it straight to the battery, and then we're going to test out the Holley Dash again and see if it works. So. All right, let's finally use the panel for good. And there we go. We open it right up. This is what I want to look at. Let's see, pull up a little bit on the release there and see if I can get this guy out. There we go. All right. So, if we're looking at this again, remember we're going to go 4 over. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's the wire that we want to make sure that is gray with blue. And it looks like, nope, gray with black, sorry. And that's correct. So I'm going to go get a razor blade. I'm going to cut this back a little bit, and then we're going to cut that wire. All right, I've cut some of that shielding back. I've checked my wiring again, so we're going to go 4 over, 1, 2, 3 over. The clip's at the top, and I'm going to cut this wire right here because I think the brake pedal is interfering. So boom, we cut it. So now let me get some tools and some extra wire, and we're going to connect it straight to the battery. I'll explain that in a minute. Don't be alarmed, I look a little different. But I just realized when I'm editing the video that I did not go over explaining why we hooked this up to the battery directly. And I have the cap on the battery now, but you're going to see me hook it up directly in a minute. Now the reason we're doing that is because a battery you can look at as a filter, because what it does is it's allowing it's you know, it's where the charge is, it's what 12 volts is, and it's what supplies power to the vehicle, but it's also what gets power back one way or the other from you know, from alternator or anything else that goes through there. And the ground kind of works that way too. So if there's a voltage spike or something else like that, or a difference in ohms, which what I thought we were dealing with here, it absorbs it. So it doesn't allow it to be transmitted through the wire, because it filters it out. It like pulls it in somehow and magically does stuff. And anyway, it basically, it's a filter is what I'm getting at. And we hooked it up to the filter, or straight to the battery, to pull that brake pedal interference or whatever it was doing out of it. So that's why we're hooking it straight to the battery, as you'll see right here. So I'm going to strip this little guy right here, which if you do a lot of wiring, buy good tools. Like this is the stripper that I have. I love this thing. And then I also have some of these alligator clips, which kind of help in a situation like this when you're doing something temporarily. So now I've got this pink wire connected all the way back to the battery with another alligator clip. So let's test it out and see if it's gonna do what we need it to do. How many of y'all were yelling at me because I didn't plug it back in? So we're plugged back in now. So that's my troubleshooting so far. Plugged in is good. Not plugged in is not good. So let's go through this whole rigmarole again. Well, now it's at 100. So that didn't fix our issue either. If anything, it may have made it worse. So I'm gonna have to run a sensor ground from the terminator back to our sending unit. So now we know that that's not where we need it to be. So I'll hold the dash out, and well, this is what we're gonna have to get at here, which is the harness. And it's actually pretty simple, but we're gonna have to figure out which pin, because these are all numbered, which pin we need to go in, and then get a wire plugged in here and then just run it back there. So let me go look at some information, figure out where we're supposed to be at on there, and I'll show you that whole process. So there's no way we can be, you know, like we used to be back in the day and set all this up without reading the instructions. So I'm going to show you a couple things, probably as pictures right here. But basically there's a couple diagrams. There's a pin-out diagram for the Pro Dash, and then there's also a guide. And if you read the guide, if you see right here, it shows that pin 26 is a sensor ground, and that's actually what we were looking for, because you can use that sensor ground to go to different grounds on different sensors so that the gauge can read the differences between the ground and whatever else it needs to read. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to send a wire from sensor, or from pin 26, which, let me show you or at least another diagram here. You can see how they're all laid out. You can look, this is actually the back of the sensor, and you can see that the top is 1 and it kind of goes across to 9. Second row is 10 to 17, third row is 18 to 25, and the fourth row is 26 all the way over the 24. So this is actually the back of it. So that means if we're looking at the back of it, the bottom left hand corner is the one we're going to look at. I took a picture here of the back of the plug. It's kind of hard to see, so I'll try to circle it in the video, but this is number 26, which is the sensor ground. So I'm going to get a wire ready and I'm going to tap into this, and I'll show you how we're going to do all that. It's not too difficult. And then we're going to hook it straight up to the sensor on the fuel gauge, and we're going to see if it works. So let's get started. One thing that's going to be really important is you actually have to buy the correct connectors for the Holley Pro Dash. Holley sells them. They're not just for the Pro Dash. They actually, I think GM uses them. And there's a bunch of other, like Terminator X and stuff, you can use these for. There's a couple different sizes. And I had to buy a few of them, so I still have a few left over. In order to use those, you actually do have to have, again, nice tools. So I have a crimping tool. Ignore the nice temporary fix there. That's designed, it's got two different widths on it, one for the clasp and one's for the wire, and I'll show you how all that works. We are going to use some very thin gauge wire. I would love to tell you the size, but I don't know, but I will tell you it's sensitive. The back of that Pro Dash doesn't really like very thick wire, so we're going to use what we got here and see if it does the job. So I'm going to strip just a little bit of this off here, not a whole lot. Get this thing in place. So we want that insulation to be crimped by that outside terminal. I don't know how easy it will be for you guys to see or not. And then the wire is going to be crimped on the inside there. Gonna get it set up and go for it. And we're gonna look at it. There we go. Looks pretty good. So now I'm gonna show you how to pull that pin out, and we're gonna try to get this one in. This is as close as I'm gonna be able to get you guys, but you do need something very small to pull out these plugs. So that's the first thing I'm gonna do. Pull out that little plug. Again, this is 26. This is our sensor ground. Now, remember my wire that I just made? Not that side. How about this side? That's going to be better. There is a little white notch right here. This is your locks. So if we push up on it, it unlocks. Then, if we crimped everything appropriately, we're going to slide it in there until it clicks. Maybe. Come on. Come on with it. Might need a little help. Man, I don't know. Did that go all the way in? I don't think it did. You'll know for sure because you won't be able to lock it down, which I can't. So this is a thicker wire, and it might give me a little bit of trouble to get all the way in there. You can kind of see how deep it is compared to all the other ones. And it's just not in there enough. And I don't really have a pick or anything that I think that will help it. I actually just went back in here and squeezed this little portion right here a little bit more, and guess what? That did the job. We'll go all the way in now. So now that it's all the way in, I'm going to be able to push this lock back down. Bingo! And we're done with that portion. Here we go. We're testing it up. Let's see where we're going to be at. Any guesses? Is it going to work? That's the wrong one. There we go. Wow, it didn't work. So I'm going a little crazy getting this thing to work. So I'm going to extreme measures. I'm going to run a wire directly to the fuel sending unit, straight to the, to the dash. That is the fuel sending unit wire that I have programmed. And I have that sensor ground right here, and I'm going to run both of these wires straight back to the fuel pump, because that's the only other thing I could see to get this to work. So I'm going to tape this up, get them all connected. I'll show you that in a second, and then we're going to see if it works. And if it doesn't work, I don't really know what else to do. All right, pink wire is the sensor ground going to the ground on the connector, and then orange with white wire goes to the actual sending unit, what sends the signal towards the dash. let's see what we got. I don't know if anything's going to change. It's either been 0 or 100 depending on how I scale the gauge. I'm looking for somewhere in the middle. And it's at 2, which is not good. Not good at all. We do have 2 projects going on, right? So we've got some extra parts, which is going to help me try to diagnose this some more, and we'll see where we get. This is another fuel sender for Gramps. It's a Holley fuel sender, so it's got, let me get all this out of the way. It's a Holley fuel sender, so it's a little bit nicer, but it does have a fuel lever sender on it. And if you look right here, I'm measuring ohms. I've got them all hooked up, and we're at the top, which is 6.3 ohms. So if I move this down in the middle, 54 ohms, 63 ohms, 89 ohms, all the way up to like 103 ohms. And the scale for this, textbook wise, says 5 ohms is full and 104 ohms is empty, which this is working out. So that's good. Now, let me change some things around, and we'll measure the ohms at the tank right now. So this is what I was reading earlier. 13 to 15 ohms on the tank. So I have the alligator clips hooked up to the sensor over there. So that's working as it should. So I'm going to now try to hook this up to the Holley, to the dash, and see if it works. And then if it works, I don't know what to do. Because we're going to find out. Before I did that, I did want to show you all this. So I've got it hooked up to the Holley dash wires, and there's 0 ohms. It's not, there's no interference that way. So, all right, I'm back. I don't know what happened to the footage here, but when I hooked up that Holley fuel sending unit directly to the wires in the dash, it totally worked. It worked exactly like it was supposed to. I put it all the way full. It showed full on the Holley dash. Put it all the way empty. Showed empty on the Holley dash. Put it in the middle. It showed in the middle on the Holley dash. So it totally works. So I'll explain here in a minute, but I'm pretty sure the fuel sending unit is bad in this thing. But I'll show you the rest of the diagnosis steps right here. There we go. Yeah, there's no way. I can already tell. Yeah, it's like halfway full. I can't really get y'all down in there, but so maybe the sender was bad by sitting. I don't know, but might be time to order the Holley one. Yeah, it's way down in there. Okay, just take my word, guys. That's all you can do. All right, I have no definitive answers, but I'm pretty sure the level sender is just not working. It's either hung up in the tank, which I don't think it is. I'm pretty sure I got it oriented the right way, so it's not hitting the side of the tank. Well, I mean, that would be full anyway if it was hung up, so it shouldn't be that, because it's 14 ohms. I think it's stuck there. I really do. It sat with no gas in it for a while. It could have corroded and got bad. So I'm pretty sure, thanks to having an extra part laying around, I'm pretty sure that sending unit's bad, which means I need to order one of those, which is probably going to be ordered here pretty soon, and we'll have a solution then for all this madness once we do that, because that fits in the stock fuel tank with the stock ring. Like, it's going to work good, but I do have to buy fittings and stuff. So as annoying as all this is, it's probably going to get fixed, and it's going to be easier to service it and some other things, and that's probably a whole lot better fuel system set up there anyway. So yep, that's what we're gonna do. I'm actually not too upset over that because these always make me nervous, because these are adapters and this is a plastic sending unit, and you know, vibration and everything else is one day gonna break those things, and I don't really want that to happen. So maybe it's just time. So I'm gonna throw the truck back together because I've got some place to go tomorrow in it. I'm gonna go to a little street meet, and maybe I'll bring you guys along. We'll see. See how much of a hurry I'm in to get cameras set up and stuff like that. I'm not sure how it's gonna be. But we're going to Speed Advocates, and if you haven't checked them out, they're awesome. It's a guy named Steven and one of his friends, and I apologize, I don't remember his friend's name, but they run some local cruise-ins in Houston. So if you are in the greater Houston area, check out speedadvocates.com. They have a subscription plan, and what they do is they put on safe events, and you know, they make sure there's people not burning out when they leave or doing burnouts anywhere and ruining these events, because a lot of these events recently have been shut down because of social media and people wanting people to see burnouts and all this stuff, when we just want to go out, drive somewhere, eat, maybe, you know, just hang out with our friends around car people. And well, it's been a little bit dangerous to do that lately. So anyway, it's a great company. I really highly recommend them. Go check them out. Well, we may not have fixed it, but we did diagnose it, and that's half the battle. So we know that the fuel sending unit, after been sitting up without gas in it for a year or so, decided to not want the level sender to work anymore. It's stuck at 14 point something ohms, and it's, you know, it's just not compatible with the gauge. So that doesn't help us any, but at least we know we can fix it. So I'm gonna have to order parts to fix it. Obviously I can't fix it on this video, and I do need to kind of, I think I'm gonna drive it a little bit as is for a little while, so I don't take the truck down again. I just got it back on the road, and I've got to get some tuning and things and stuff like that done. So I'm gonna keep an eye on trying to make sure I keep the tank full while I'm doing that, and I'm gonna start working on some other things. So speaking of some other things, let's get off on this foot here. This video right here that you're watching is my 199th video that I've done with me or my friends, or with Greg or whatever, and it's been an absolute blast. I can't believe we're almost at 5,000 subscribers. I'm really hoping that number kind of takes off this year, and one of the ways that might help that is I have a secret that I've been hiding from you guys for quite a little while. And I think the 200th episode, which is the next episode, next Saturday, that's going to be the one to show you guys. And I can't wait to show you this and start doing some videos on it. It's going to be a little different than what we're working with here, but I'm super excited to have it. And I can't wait to share it with you guys. And guess what? It's not the only one. There's another project that we have to share with you guys. So basically next weekend, I'm going to show you mine. Greg has something else, and it's awesome. And it's just, this year's going to be great. 2024 is going to be, it's going to be wild, because we even have some other friends that have bought some stuff, and we're going to try to do some stuff together. Once you see it, it'll all make sense. So keep a lookout for the next video for that new project, and it's going to be great. Other than that, a couple other things just for housekeeping. We actually do have a business address, and if you guys would like to send us something, which I don't really expect y'all to, but it seems to be kind of a common thing for people on YouTube to do, is to share that address with you. We're going to start sharing it in our descriptions on our videos. So it will be in this description of this video, and I'll put it right down here, wherever it needs to be, underneath here in this general somewhere area. So if you guys want to send us something, you can. I think that'd be kind of fun. And I wanted to share that with you. Other than that, again, we're going to start working on the Nova. It needs brakes. I haven't driven it in a while. The brakes are real bad. That master cylinder is gone, so we're going to be working on that. Ramps is getting started. We've actually got a plan for getting that thing kind of back on the ground, because I actually want to move some stuff around in here, clean it up a bunch. There's a lot to do. There's actually some shop projects that we're going to do in 2024 as well. We'll see how far we get with those, and we'll share those with you guys too. So we have a lot going on. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, because I don't think that we're going to run out of things to show you guys anytime soon. So if you're digging this stuff, please consider hanging out with us. We do social media as well, which is Facebook and Instagram. You can check us out at the Racer X Garage. And you know, we're not too active on there, but I'm trying to get better with it. It's not my strong suit, so I'm trying to learn a little bit on that. So that's one of my goals this year. So, all right, it's cold. It's gonna be cold all weekend, and I'm not sure how much cleaning up I'm gonna do tomorrow, but I'm gonna try to do all of it. Try to move these cars around and kind of get them moved out, and maybe I'll video that and show you all that. But again, remember, next weekend, huge video, new projects. You're gonna like it. All right, I'm gonna shut it down. I'm gonna go inside. I'm gonna warm up, and I hope you guys do the same thing. Have a fantastic weekend. We'll see you next time. Until next time, you know the deal. Y'all be good.